It has been like 2 weeks since I last uploaded, but the regular season of college football is over, and it's now bowl season, so I was planning on stopping the college predictions because it was didn't really care as much, but the NFL ones, I guess, followed in pursuit, even though I still wanted to do them. Hopefully they'll make a return this week, I hope, but if not, this bowl Mania video predicting all the bowl games. And this is the first time I'm ever doing this. I did this last year, but I didn't start till like halfway through. I want to try at least get, I don't know how many bowl games there are, but I want to get at least 70% of them right. First game is the Bahamas Bowl between Miami, Ohio, who Kentucky did play, so I do know a bit about them, and UAB. Thing is, in Miami, Ohio, I know they did kind of end the season on a hot streak because they were not going to make a bowl game. They're 3-5 or something at one point, but I still think UAB is going to win this game. They probably are the better team. That is one of those tough games to pick because you don't really know much about either of them. And here we got a really interesting one, actually. Two very good mid-majors, or a group of five. This isn't basketball. It's a group of five. Between the Conference USA champion, UTSA Roadrunners, and Sun Belt champion, Troy Trojans. And I'm going to go with Troy here because I know one of their losses was Ole Miss. I don't know what the other one was, but other than that, they have been a near-perfect team. They have had some struggles, but this is like a toss-up, though. Two very good teams. Two very good group of five teams. And a very spicy matchup between Cincinnati and Louisville, where Scott Satterfield, Louisville's head coach, took the Cincinnati job. So it's both teams have something else to fight for otherwise. But anyways, I'm going to go Cincinnati. Not even just because my bias against Louisville, just because I'm pretty sure Malik Cunningham won't be playing. He might. I don't know. But even if he does, I don't know if he'll be enough. Cincinnati still is a good team, even though neither team's going to have their head coach. I don't know if Luke Fickell's coaching this game, but I assume Satterfield wouldn't be coaching if his new team is who he's playing against. But yeah, I'm Bearcats. Then we got Jackson State and North Carolina Central. This is an FCS bowl game. And, the obvious answer is Jackson State, but Deion Sanders just took the Colorado job. Probably going to be a lot of opt-outs in that scenario. But still, they'll probably win. I don't know much about either's team, but I'm just going to pick the favorite. But Jackson State, do not expect them to be good next year since Deion's gone. We got Florida and Oregon State. The huge question here is, do I go with SEC supremacy or the Beavers, who beat Oregon a couple weeks ago? Maybe this could be a toss-up, but I think I saw something that Anthony Richardson isn't starting for Florida. Granted, it's not like he was insane after the Utah game. He peaked in week 1. So going with the Beavers, I assume they'll have most of their guys playing, I'd assume, because I just feel like they're more of a less NFL factory of a team than Florida is. So they'll have a majority of their starters playing. So they should probably win this easily. We got Wazoo and Fresno State. Fresno State was is it Mountain West conference? I think it's Mountain West Conference champions, and they are on a big winning streak. And they're playing Washington State. And you know what? I'm going to go with the Cougars here. There's so many games. Oh, my goodness. I realized I need to speed this up. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Yeah, I guess I go with the Cougars. And Rice made a bowl. Rice did, really, at 5-7. I guess I really want to do it. I guess Southern Miss. Go with them. And SMU, BYU. Two teams who probably performed under expectations. I'm going to go SMU here. BYU hasn't been really impressive at all. Just going to quickly go Boise State. And UConn, wow. They went from being a bottom barrel of college teams and making a bowl so quickly, but still Marshall is a considerably better team than them at this point. I mean, they still do have that early season win over Notre Dame. It's crazy to think back on. And here's the first somewhat toss-up. It's literally 50-50 between Eastern Michigan and San Jose State. I mean, it is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, so expect a slobber knocker there. I'm going to go San Jose State for no reason. Liberty and Toledo. Go in Toledo for the fact that Liberty's probably not going to have Hugh Freeze coaching since he took the Auburn job. So reason they got WKU and South Alabama. I really do want to take Western here, but I don't think I should because South Alabama is a very good team. One of their losses is a 1-point loss to UCLA. And Western, I do know their quarterback, Austin Reed, is transferring. See, I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if they can play if they're announced on the transfer portal. I'd assume not. So South Alabama. Ooh, Air Force and Baylor. It's a good one. I do think was the Air Force played this last year and beat Louisville. But I'll go Baylor. Just go with the Power 5 school, I guess. Even like Air Force, I don't think they had the toughest schedule to get to 9-3. Houston and Louisiana. I'll go Houston here. Not from the fact that they've been impressive, but from the fact that Louisiana barely scraped to the 6-6. And Missouri, can't believe them. They ducked Kansas. But I'll go with the Demon Deacons here. Even though Missouri has kind of looked slightly better, like they beat Arkansas, but Wake Forest, I just feel like they need this more in terms of they have struggled. And it'd be tough to end the season with high expectations without even winning a bowl game. Missouri's expected to be bad. Middle Tennessee State and San Diego State. Going to go with the Aztecs here. And New Mexico, who just got bowl eligible in Champ Week when they played like a rescheduled game or something. I'm going to go with them, actually, over Bowling Green. I can't always go with the favorites, so just mix it up there. They got Buffalo and Georgia Southern. Again, Georgia Southern, I don't get the logic between the picks being like one-sided. I highly doubt the majority of people doing this watch either of these teams. I know Georgia Southern was good a year or so ago. I know Buffalo has been consistent in making bowl games, so I'll just go with Georgia Southern. Memphis and Utah State. Memphis finished 6-6. I thought they were a lot better than that. But I'll go with Memphis, the Tigers, for this one. Solely for Utah State, they did start poorly and finish to win a bowl game. But if none of these group of 5 teams have a win that stands out, it's going to be hard for me to pick them over a future. Are they a future Big 12 school, or am I getting that wrong? I know UCF is, but I don't know. And then we got Coastal and Eastern Carolina. These are 2 good group of 5 teams. And Coastal they would probably have one more win than they do now if Grayson McCall didn't get hurt. And Eastern Carolina almost beat NC State. They have a few solid wins. Into Conference USA, I've picked the Chancellors a lot when they were on the other predictions. I still did them, even though I didn't make the videos the times I did. I'm going to go with Coastal. That Cinderella season they had in the COVID year really makes me like them as a team. And Wisconsin and Oklahoma State. Now, Wisconsin is getting Cincinnati's Luke Fickell as their head coach next year. Regardless, I still think Oklahoma State wins, even though Spencer Sanders is transferring. Everyone's transferring. It's a thing to do nowadays. But I still think they win. And UCF and Duke, this is an interesting matchup. And this is one where I do think the non-Power 5 school wins. Because UCF's a pretty good team. Yeah, they did lose the American Athletic Championship game, I think. Is either American Athletic or Conference USA? It's one of the two. I don't think it was Conference USA. I don't know. I think that was UTSA on Conference USA because I said it earlier. But UCF, yeah, they're moving to the Big 12 either next year or the year after. Not too certain, but they'll probably beat Duke here, even though Duke, impressive, they've got this many wins. I think Raleigh Leonard could be really good for them next year if he stays. And so we got Kansas and Arkansas. Kansas started 5-0 and finished 6-6. On one hand, that's great that they made a bowl game when they had no expectations. But it does kind of hurt that you started 5-0 and only won one game the rest of the year. And I don't know if Arkansas, as much as I want to pick Kansas, I'm going to pick Arkansas. I don't think they're going to allow themselves to play down and lose this game. So go Arky here. And we got Oregon and North Carolina. I don't know how North Carolina snuck into this. I guess because, I don't know. Seems Oregon overmatches them probably. I'll go with Oregon. I know North Carolina's not bad, but they have kind of looked suspect their past few games. And we're finally starting to get to the good bowl games. And Ole Miss and Texas Tech. Things really fell off for Ole Miss late in the season. But I do think they win this one against Tech. Tech's not a bad team. They're not a great team. I think Ole Miss needs to channel what they had when they were a top 10 team. And Syracuse and Minnesota. Syracuse is very similar to Kansas, where they had a hot start, were a highly ranked team, and then they just started to fall off. They almost beat Clemson too, which may say a little bit more about Clemson than them. And they're playing Minnesota, who also had a very hot start and kind of cooled off. I'm going to go with the Orange here for no particular reason other than they did look really good at one point. Oklahoma and Florida State. The Cheez-It Bowl. It's very obvious Oklahoma only got this on name alone, not because of record, because 6-6. I kind of wanted to see Kentucky play them, but they get the Seminoles instead. I'm going with Florida State. Oklahoma probably won't have as many players playing, obviously. But they still could win. They still are Oklahoma, but I still think Florida State wins. They're back on the rise. They're not back yet to their national championship level, but they are getting to that point. And a little half-half here, Texas and Washington. I know Penix has already announced he's going back to Washington, and I think they win. Texas has had a better year than last year, at the least, but still, they haven't been utterly impressive. They're 8-4 being ranked. I don't think their wins are even good enough to prove that. Yay, we lost to Alabama by 1. That's kind of coasted them throughout the year. Maryland and NC State. Go with the Wolfpack here, despite the injuries they had suffered, especially to quarterback Devin Leary, who's now transferring. Maryland's still not all that. Tua's brother, I don't know if he's like a junior or something, but he could really turn into a solid quarterback for them next year if he's still there. And this feels like another somewhat, not really a mismatch, it's a one-game difference. But I feel like this is a relatively easy game for UCLA. Now I say this and Pitt's going to win. But last year Pitt lost to Michigan State. Don't know what bowl it was, but it was a big bowl. Because Pickett didn't play. And I don't know. I don't know if Pitt can win this game. This is a big win for UCLA to get to 10 wins this year when they didn't have very high expectations. And we get to the red-hot South Carolina Gamecocks and the Fighting Irish Notre Dame. Wow, the Gator Bowl. I feel like they beat Clemson and Tennessee two top 10 teams in back-to-back weeks. And I feel like they deserve a better bowl than this, but they did have some, that loss to Florida. If they win one more game, they would have been very close to a New Year's Six bowl. Probably could have got the Citrus Bowl or something like that. But South Carolina, even though Notre Dame has been, Marcus Freeman really did turn the ship around. They started 1-2, or 0-2, yeah, 1-2, same. But it's pretty impressive to finish 8-2 after starting 0-2. Ohio and Wyoming. The Bobcats here. Don't know much about either of them. And so wait, we're still. How have I not got to the Kentucky game yet? Regardless, the Orange Bowl happens before that. Tennessee and Clemson. The Orange Bowl. Here's what I'll say about this. Don't know if Joe Milton has what it takes to have Tennessee win this game. If they had Hendon Hooker, I'd be willing on them to beat Clemson, but Cade Klubnik proves that he could be the future for Clemson quarterback after DJ struggled. DJ's transferring. It's now Cade Klubnik's Clemson. I think Clemson will win for the fact of that. Obviously, I don't really like Tennessee because they're like our biggest rival in football. But, yeah, I think Dabo will lose his mind if they can't win this. So, yeah. And Alabama and Kansas State. Now, very bold prediction. Kansas State. Alabama's probably going to have a lot of opt-outs because this isn't the playoffs. But, yeah, they could still win. Depends on Bryce Young, if he plays or not. But I still think Kansas State is prime to win this game regardless. They are a really good team. It's just too bad their inconsistencies cost them any chance to playoffs with that loss to Tulane. And I don't remember the loss to TCU they had beforehand. If they turn like two of those losses into wins, they're in the playoffs instead of TCU. And we get to the rematch that I guarantee you not a single Kentucky fan wanted. Iowa and Kentucky. Last year had a lot more pizzazz. It was New Year's Day, Citrus Bowl. It was 10-3 or I don't know. It was Kentucky and Iowa, both with 3 losses. It was a very good game, low-scoring defensive game where Kentucky won at the end somehow. Say we do it again this year for the fact that Iowa has a quarterback who hasn't started all year. They're on their 3rd stringer. I mean, it's not like Spencer Petras would have been much better, but they are on their 3rd stringer. They got Cade McNamara from Michigan coming in next year, transferring. But we're probably going to have a few opt-outs. Levis is still undeclared now. He is declared for the draft, but he's not clear if he's playing or not. Regardless, even if he doesn't play, I still think we win. This game could be the ugliest game of the entirety of bowl season, and probably wouldn't even watch this game because it is the exact same time as the Kentucky-Louisville basketball game. Even though Louisville's been a train wreck this year, still probably be more entertaining than this game will. This is Sicko's bowl game in a nutshell. Unless our offense gets something going, that final score could be like 3-6. And yeah, the first game of the playoffs here. I didn't know they had a playoffs in this between TCU and Michigan. I am happy they kept TCU in after the loss to Kansas State, even though they're probably not going to win. And hey, Michigan is their best shot at winning. I don't know why I think it's better than Ohio State, the chance of winning. I think Michigan matches up better against Ohio State than they do TCU. But it's all like a weird circle. But TCU, if they would have dropped them down to 4 and Ohio State up to 3, TCU had no chance of winning. But now they have a slight chance. Still, Cinderella season, this team of destiny will not beat the Wolverines. They have a chance better than if they were 4 against Georgia, but I still think Michigan wins. And Ohio State and Georgia. Now, Ohio State, I don't know what they would rather. I don't know if they would rather have a rematch with Michigan and potentially go 0-2 against Michigan, or potentially get the revenge on a grander stage, or just play Georgia. Well, they got Georgia, and I don't think they have a chance against Georgia. They do have a better chance than TCU, but Ryan Day is going to be on the hot seat if they get blown out here. I know Georgia has looked spotty at times against Missouri, struggling against Kentucky, which I think was more of Georgia's struggles than Kentucky's defense playing up, even though it's probably a bit of both. And the first half struggles against Georgia Tech have waved red flags, but they're one of only 2 undefeated teams in the FBS, and they're the better of the 2. I don't know if it'll be on here down here, but I do think they win it all again this year. And Mississippi State and Illinois, they get the day after New Year's. They're not doing New Year's Day this year. Maybe not. But I'm shocked this is this late, Mississippi State and Illinois. I go with Mississippi State. Illinois is kind of falling off late in the year after starting 7-1 or 6-1, whatever. And Mississippi State has kind of been on a better trajectory. And Tulane and USC. USC really blew their chance against Utah. They started so well in that game and just fell off once Utah finally started to get it going. And, yeah, they probably would have, honestly, they win that, they probably move ahead of TCU, and TCU moves down to 4, and they play Michigan, which they had somewhat of a chance of winning. And TCU probably thanks them for losing because they get a chance against Michigan instead of having to play Georgia. But USC still wins. Tulane has had a great year. They are the best Group of 5 team. But I still don't see them beating USC. The Citrus Bowl, this is the bowl. Kentucky has won twice in the past 4 years or so. LSU and Purdue. Despite LSU kind of crapping the bed the past 2 weeks, another team who should have made the playoffs but doesn't. Still think they beat Purdue here. It would be good to get a 10-win season in Brian Kelly's first year there, especially after how week 1 went. And be a good foundation to start off on. Penn State and Utah. Now, Penn State only lost 2 games to Michigan and Ohio State. Both teams in the playoffs. And Utah lost that Florida game. I think they lost to Oregon. That's all I can really think of. I think Penn State wins. They haven't been, per se, insane. But their 2 losses aren't bad at all. They still have a very good resume since those are only 2 losses, and Utah's got that spotty loss to Florida, which with their ranking 2 loss, Utah could have made it in if they won one more of their games with the Pac-12 championship, and that gets who will win the national championship. Since the game hasn't happened yet, I'm going to assume Georgia wins. I'm assuming Michigan wins, so that'll be Michigan versus Georgia. Georgia wins. Michigan has a chance, but I think Georgia is, lo and behold, the team that's going to get it done this year. Again, win back-to-back. The question is, will they three-peat? I don't know. It's not like Stetson Bennett has been the guy to carry them to championships. Last year he had a great national championship game, but this year he's really didn't deserve that spot in the Heisman finalist thing. And yet, here they are again, on the verge of winning back-to-back national championships, which they most likely will. And if they don't, I feel like Michigan's the only team who can do it. And how many points will be scored? I think it'll be around the 65 range. Why not? And that'll be the end of the video. Submit the picks for it. I know for a fact I'm going to get some of these wrong with my flawed logic. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Maybe NFL predictions come back some point this week. They'll at least be back by the playoffs. And I'll see y'all in the next video.